We move across now to digitalization and how to really effectively deal with those challenges, the certainties, the uncertainties, the concerns. And the next gentleman on stage here to share with you his ideas, he's going to kind of pinpoint how to really deal with those challenges that many of us are facing in many different sectors indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Partner Advisory Services and the Chairman of EY Digital Council at Ernst & Young, Mr. Olaf Riedel.
Thank you very much. Well, thanks for the introduction and welcome and good morning. Digitization, I think it's a challenge for us. Maybe I start with a short introduction of myself. I'm a partner with EY, have been there 25 years now, started in something that was called assurance 25 years ago. So I'm an auditor of a kind, and since then I've been working in consulting, very much in IT consulting. Currently I'm in charge of our digital advisory activities all over the place in Germany, Switzerland, Austria. And one of the questions that might come to your mind is, why is EY as a company dealing with digitalization? What do you think? One of the things that is really challenging us as a company is that the business model is changing for ourselves as well. So just to give you an example, the question is, who will be the best next tax advisor in the next generation? Will it be the smartest person or the smartest team? Or will it be the person who writes the best algorithm? Same is true for auditors. Will we need auditors in the future? So that's something that I personally are dealing with and my company is dealing with, and that's one of the reasons why EY is also playing in the digital place. And probably that's true for lots of you as well, who have to deal with digitization. What does digitization mean in the context of digital resources? It means, in the end, to make the most of digital resources. And some of my clients have said, well, Olaf, digitization is nothing new. It really has taken place 20 years ago already. And probably they're not that wrong. Yeah? If you look into history, in 1982 already, students at Carnegie Mellon put appliances into a Coke machine to register the levels of inventory and then to refill. And in 1994, it was Pizza Hut who launched the world's first ordering system. And in 1999, again 18 years from today, before today, Nokia invented the 7110 mobile phone, which had the first web browser. So actually, there has been a lot of digitization in the past already. However, and there's a difference today. Bandwidth has gone up. Availability is a different one, and connectivity as one of the consequences is completely different. And if I compare it to my own professional career, I've heard something similar around cloud computing. When cloud computing came up, lots of my clients said, well, Olaf, cloud computing is nothing new. Yeah? We have seen IT outsourcing. Actually, virtualization has been around all the time. However, again, there's a difference. Availability is different because you can just, by putting in your credit card data, add resources to your laptop, PC, smart device, whatsoever. And accessibility is a different one. And that's one of the changes that comes with digitization. what does digitization mean as well? After all, it's the adoption of an organization's business and operating model, which has been triggered by fundamental changes of the time. So if you go back into the 18th century, to the first industrial revolution, interestingly, in German, it's called Webstuhl, so something that has to deal with the web already. The weaving looms were invented and were used were the first example of the first industrial revolution. And the second revolution, as you all are aware, electricity drove manufacturing and dividing of labor. Information technology then was a driver to run things like enterprise resource planning systems or manufacturing execution systems. So we see a lot of digitization in that end as well. And nowadays we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution with smart devices, with devices connected, with actors, with sensors connected to the internet. And still there's a number of developments that we will see because, as you may be aware, and that's one of the statistics I show it to you in the aftermath, is that only 1% of the devices that can be connected to the internet are currently connected to the internet. What we did, and you may be aware of that Germany is the host to the G20 countries this year. What we did is to take a look at the maturity level of the G20, the current maturity level. And there's a number of drivers for maturity level for those countries. And it starts with the question of how affordable is it to connect to the internet? For example, how cheap or how expensive are telco tariffs? Secondly, the infrastructure reliability. How stable is the telco infrastructure? How many investments have gone into telco infrastructure? If you look at it, for example, at the developing countries, we see that Africa has massive issues with the infrastructure, as well as India has with the availability. So that's one of the factors you have to deal with in terms of the question, how far developed can you be in terms of the internet? Third part is the network access, so how big is the broadband penetration? Fourth, how much it is being used. Currently, the Nordics are the leading countries in the usage of internet. Fifth, the internet bandwidth, so how broad is the internet access that can be provided. And last, but surely not least, maybe even the most important is how's the access to human capital? So to people skilled to deal with the internet, with software, with technology in the respective countries. As a study from Katz, Kotrampis, and Kalorda showed in 2013 and 2015, at least in the G20 countries, most of the G20 members are in the status of advanced. So they have at least 4 of those 6 factors applied. So they are actually in the process of recovering the benefits of the internet. One aspect maybe to the workforce part, what we will see, and that is probably one of the challenges of digitization that also from a political standpoint is becoming very interesting, is that workforces in the future, and that's the part that I started my story with, will be replaced by robots. will be replaced by robots or by artificial intelligence. We see already a number of examples. For example, in the banking industry, if you call a call center, you think you call a call center, but you usually have an answering machine in the background. So all the calls you are being dealt with in a bank currently are to a large extent already dealt with chatbots that talk to you, or chatbots that answer your questions also in the internet. And we'll see those trends in the number of industries, and a lot is emerging already. And one of the challenges we will have as society is how to deal with the people that were doing the jobs before. And probably as a consultant, one of the questions we need to answer as a society is how we can solve the issue of people that are maybe not employed anymore, the replacement of easy tasks, easy work by robots. How do we distribute income? That's probably one of the demanding questions of the future. Nothing to solve today, but I think that needs to be at least answered by society in the near future that is coming up. The basis of our fourth industrial revolution is probably the Internet of Things, which is a key driver for digital transformation and will enable businesses to reinvent products, services, but also internal operations and business models. At least that's what economists says. What economists says as well is that 76% of manufacturers will increase their use of smart devices or embedded intelligence into manufacturing processes in the next 2 years. So we're looking into a very short time frame. However, on the other hand, if I talk to clients, I think everyone has a feeling, hey, I need to do something with IoT. But usually that's then the end of the story, because it appears that some of the people don't know really what to do with it. So the idea what to really solve, which problems to use in the IoT space is one of the issues, at least with companies that are well established, have functioning business models, is one of the questions that is not easy answered. What they usually do is they run an incubator, they start an accelerator, they start an IoT lab. Nice. So it's good work for consultants. However, do they come up with new business models? Only few really do. And I give you one example from my personal background. It's very simple, but imagine that my washing machine, my dishwasher, went down. It was not working for 2 weeks, and that gave me really a hard time with my wife. Because we had to do the cleansing ourselves, and if you imagine that I have 4 kids, I think there's a lot to clean. The solution was, well, honey, could you please call the technician, which came then funnily after 2.5 weeks. What did he do? He connected the laptop to the dishwasher, read the data, identified the issue, changed one of the programs, and then it was fixed again. So the easy solution in an IoT world, in a connected IoT world, would have been to recognize a problem already when it was there, send a technician already before the issue was there, change the program in advance, and keep me happy before it happened. Well, I can tell you, okay, now life is good again because dishwasher is working again. That's just one example. It's sometimes like we do not see the forest because there are so many trees in the woods. Yeah? So and probably that's one of the issues that needs to be solved. Here we go. We did a study together with the Bitkom on the status quo and perspectives of the Internet of Things. And what we recognized that a clear majority of 77% of manufacturing companies consider IoT and Industry 4.0 as a strategically very important topic. Very important topic. And if you go through, what are the benefits? Increase of production flexibility, speed up of response times, increase of overall equipment effectiveness, etc., etc. Lots of benefits. But more astonishingly, only 16%, only a minority of 16% really thinks that they can get the benefits of new business models to support new business models. It was kind of surprise on one hand. On the other hand, as I said in the beginning, when I look to my clients, they really have issues of grabbing the essence of Internet of Things and what they can do with this. And one of the factors probably is, again, the human factor, human capital. I come back to that. Who, for example, told the hotel chains not to behave like Airbnb? Would have been easy. However, now Airbnb is driving a business model, a changed one, without any assets. It is the largest provider of hotel rooms, if you want so. And same goes along with Uber and other models that go along. Yeah, and again, human factor is one aspect. If I talk to my clients, one of the issues I'm being faced with is, Olaf, we have an existing business model. We have so many people employed with us, 5,000, 10,000. They need to run, we need to feed those. How can we disrupt ourselves? My answer usually is, okay, if you do not disrupt yourself, someone else will. And again, this is one of the answers. You need to challenge your own business model with the new technologies, with the IoT possibilities. You need to set up something that is maybe loose from your current business model. And again, lots of the discussions I'm having with my clients is, Olaf, we want to make use of our assets. I say, well, that's fine. Make use of your assets. But if that means sticking to the old business model, then that's an issue. So we come to the organizational part. Uncertainty. There's a true sentence about learning, which is if a man will begin with certainties, he will begin with doubts. But if he will be content to begin with doubts, he shall end in certainties. That's from Sir Francis Bacon some years ago already. But uncertainty, as you know, as you are aware, in the VUCA world has become the new norm. There's no common strategy or overall strategy to get along with IoT, with new technologies, and how to realize disruptive business models. So I cannot make a common suggestion, but one of the insights I'm getting all the time is that obviously no new use cases are not recognized. And that has something to do, which is called in the physical world, inertia or phlegm, or inertance or idleness. So what I see in the traditional companies I'm working with is a certain idleness to stick to their current business models because it's so easy to get all the cash flows and to have everything up and running. And what they are all good with is analyzing what the competitors are doing, what new startups are doing, how the trends are changing the business models of current companies. Look, for example, at traditional trading companies that see the competition of the Amazons, the Zalandos of the world, and they are all good in analyzing. But again, there's a certain idleness, a phlegm, as if they won't move. It's like the rabbit that looks into the eyes of the snake. They don't move. I actually have not recognized why this is the case, because obviously the situation is changing not fast enough that a reaction is enforced, but slowly enough that everyone thinks he or she is safe. It's like with a frog that you send into warm, hot water, he already jumps out. But if you heat the water slowly, he will just die in the water. And it's like a bit like the same. It's the same picture I have with traditional companies. There appears to be a certain, as I said, idleness and phlegm. Digitization, and that's one of the threats, and that may change also the attitude of companies as well, is a mega trend of our time. Growth is explosive and has barely begun. As I said, just 1% of the devices are connected to the internet, so 99% of the devices that still can be connected are still to come. 41% compound annual growth of internet-connected things between 2016 and 2020 are projected by Gartner Group. And imagine that the critical mass of 50 million users is currently achieved in 35 days. The telco companies used to take 75 years to get to up to 50 million users. The iPod, invented by Apple, needed 3 years. And Angry Birds just needed 35 days to come up to 50 million users. So, world is changing. That might also change the ability of traditional companies. Hey, something is going on if it is not too late. Also, external forces are shaping the direction towards Industry 4.0 and the Internet of Things. And what makes uncertainty a bit better handleable, manageable, maybe diving into those industry trends. We just put down some here. So key trends like the future of smart, or urban world, resourceful planet, all stuff that we have recognized as mega trends at the moment. Also coming from the industry side, from the market forces side, from the macroeconomic side, we see those influences. And one of the aspects that I think we have to deal with is missing transparency, as I just showed in the slides before, about what is happening to my business model. On the other hand, maybe also a missing entrepreneurial spirit. Because what you recognize with what at least I have recognized in the discussion with my clients is that entrepreneurial spirit is missing to lots of our CEOs and CFOs in a way to challenge their own business models. In discussions, we are moving there, we are getting there. Still, at least with a number of family-owned businesses, I deal a lot with family-owned businesses as well. There is a challenge to overcome the heritage of those ideas. How can we overcome the situation? I've put down a strategy manifesto. There's a number of things that can lead to a change in terms of embracing technology and embracing the possibilities of the Internet of Things. First of all, purposeful culture. Purpose is driving something, a change in our behavior. Purpose is changing the way we work and maybe also the way we embrace technology. Business-led, technology-inspired, something that was true in the past but is still true. We need to embrace technology, but also always with an idea how to make business out of it. Embrace risks because they show you the weaknesses you have in the business. So it's like loving the enemy because he tells you where your weaknesses are. Holistic business, take a holistic business perspective and also an outside-in perspective are the aspects. What does it mean for an organization? Well, it's no general advice, but what we need to see as a development, at least with my clients, is more flexible organizations that are organized more agile. That might mean to split and carve out parts of your company, maybe to found new companies for new business models, and give the possibility to those small new foundations to grow, a freedom to grow as well, and most importantly, embrace failing and recalibrating your new foundations, your new companies. I think that's one of the most important things that, especially if you look to the German-speaking countries, not necessarily to the US countries who have a different culture with regard to failing, but especially German-speaking countries, embrace that is something good to fail and to learn out of it and to restart and to recalibrate. At least that's one of the advices that I can give to my clients. To finalize, what is changing the way, for example, I do business? And I made that as an introduction, that I said, well, you know, EY is facing a number of challenges at the moment, and the industry of consulting is changing. Well, what we see is lots of assets being built, asset-based consulting is one of the hype words you will face, but one of the aspects that is built into the things I do and we do is use analytics, use data to do consulting. And probably that's one of the things, if you look around in all those presentations, you often see the term data, and data being the new gold and the new oil. And I think making use of data is one of the things that currently already we see as a change in our own business, but lots of you will see when you go back to your companies, changing your business as well. I hope I gave you some insights on the challenges, how to deal with those, and have 2.5 minutes left for questions if you have any. Thank you very much.